Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. What's it been, like a year and a half? And call me the Marty Mouser of YouTube reviews. I'm pretty good at it, I just gotta get out of my own way. So let's get into it. Welcome to Reviewed in 5, where I rate movies in 5 categories: writing, directing, acting, originality, and entertainment. Now, Marty Supreme is the third installment of an unofficial trilogy for me that started with Tar, continued with The Brutalist. All movies that definitely gaslit me into thinking that they were about real people at first, and then proceeded to make me feel really stupid. I will say, of the 3, this is by far the most entertaining. Would I go so far as to recommend it to the parents? I don't know about that. It's probably going to depend on like whether or not they're Timothy Chalamet's parents. Oh, honey, we're so proud of you. Starring in a big Hollywood movie where you get arrested for eating in a public park. Sound intriguing? Let's dive in. Just like Timmy did in that park scene. Heyo! So I went into this thinking, all right, 2.5-hour sports movie. It's going to be an epic tale of this guy's rise and fall over the course of an entire career. And I was wrong. It's actually much better than that. It's more like, okay, you got a week to scrape together $1,500 so you can attend this one tournament where you might maybe make a name for yourself. Ready, set, go. And it's 2.5 hours because the rabbit hole that this guy will dig himself into in pursuit of that money is pretty much bottomless. In fact, it's really less of a rabbit hole than it is a bag of holding. Like, let me paint a picture for you. My family just kicked me out of the house along with my pregnant girlfriend, so I gotta stay at a seedy hotel where I find out that the International Table Tennis Association is fining me for being a dick to the manager, and also my bathtub just fell through the fucking floor and destroyed a man's arm. None of this is a spoiler, by the way. All of this happens within the span of like 15 minutes. But honestly, the most impressive thing about the writing is the fact that Josh Safety and Ronald Bronstein actually managed to pay it all off. It doesn't matter how weird and random the tangent is, literally all of it is going to be important later. And that right there is quality writing. 5 out of 5. I'm really struggling to figure out how to put the aesthetic of this movie into words. It takes place in 1950s New York with an 80s synthwave soundtrack, and everybody speaks like they're a Twitter edgelord from 2013. Does all of this come together cohesively? Yeah, kinda. Look, there's been a lot of probably misplaced nostalgia toward 1950s Americana in recent years, but this movie says, nope, people were just as seedy and vulgar back then, except that digital records and surveillance technology didn't exist yet, so you could kind of get away with more, actually. And so by filming everything in a very frenetic, modern style, with handheld cameras, long lenses, tons and tons of heavy close-ups, while keeping the high contrast look of classic noir cinema, it's a great way to ground you in the world of 1950s New York, while also communicating the filmmaker's attitude towards it. I don't think I'm going to remember too many individual shots from this movie, but I am absolutely going to remember the vibe. Still not sure about the synthwave part, though. That did take me out a little bit, not gonna lie. 4 out of 5.
That's the spirit of Marty Supreme, Christmas Day. Marty Supreme, dream big. Marty Supreme, Christmas Day.
Yeah, we gotta talk about Timothy. This is another one of those roles where I had to like check myself from just going, oh, he's just playing himself. We've seen this before. Because I went back through his IMDb, and no, we really haven't. But the fact that it feels like we have just speaks to how perfect this is. He's definitely getting nominated for an Oscar again. If he wins, I mean, look, I always root for the comedic performances. Maybe this isn't 100% a comedic performance, but at least it's not sad and brooding like what they usually go with. If he wins for this, it would be iconic. That is my opinion on that. However, there is one other person in this cast who I think is actually more deserving of an award than him, and that is Odessa Azion. Not just because she has the second most screen time either. I think she gets to show more range than him. I think she's the only other character capable of occasionally matching wits with him. Who else is great in this? Let's see. This is the first movie where I get to butcher the names of an entire cast. Here we go. Gates Rurig comes out of nowhere with probably the best monologue in the whole movie. Koto Kawaguchi is the final boss ping pong player. Probably got cast 90% from looks alone, but god damn if he did not give us that menacing austerity that you want from a role like that. And if you want to talk about roles that people were born to play, fuck Timmy, we gotta talk about Kevin O'Leary. He is so awesome as the cutthroat New York pen company CEO that I didn't realize he's not even an actor. He's like a judge on Shark Tank, which is honestly even better. And look, I don't really feel like adding to the Gwyneth Paltrow discourse void, but I do feel obligated to say something, so I'll be honest. She succeeds in coming off more like a real person in this movie than she does in real life. So you know what? Success on all fronts. 5 out of 5. your reaction on this one is going to fall into one of two categories. Either you have seen the movies that Josh Safety has directed previously, or you haven't. If you haven't, you're going to be like, this is the most gloriously unhinged thing I've ever seen. Where has this been? And the people who have seen his other movies are going to be like, yeah, he's been doing this since like 2017. Where have you been? However, in terms of the trademark Safety style of these hyper-driven hustler protagonists making usually questionable, occasionally terrible decisions in pursuit of their goals, this does feel like the most meaningful and relevant expression of it. I don't usually watch other people's reviews, but I think it was Carson Runquist who said,
"What Marty Supreme ultimately makes clear is that this isn't a movie about ping pong, but the American dream. I'm not going to sit here and say the younger generations of today are aimless, because this film, if anything, is mirroring the drive so many people like Marty feel."
Look, from Ellis Island all the way up to Gary Vaynerchuk and Instagram hustle culture, America has been telling people, come here, make your money, become larger than life. And if you fail to leave some kind of tangible mark on the world that proves you were here, then there is something wrong with you. We are literally pushing everybody to be this guy. So when you see all the bullshit that he has to go through in order to even take his one shot at greatness, you just have to root for him on a gut level, even though your brain is screaming at you that he's an asshole. Marty gets rejected by New York bigwigs and international ping pong snobs. I get rejected by the LinkedIn algorithm. He just like me, for real. 4 out of 5. So as someone who gets a lot of joy and purpose from introducing friends and family to movies, music, little cultural tidbits that I love but might be a little off the beaten path, I am so glad this movie exists. And here's why. Uncut Gems, previous Safety Brothers movie. I love it. I think it's entertaining as hell, but god damn, that movie is nihilistic. That movie leaves you by saying, yeah, all the exhausting bullshit that you just went through, yeah, there's no payoff. None of it matters and we're all gonna die. Marty Supreme has the maturity to understand that in order to please an audience, it is not enough to just be entertaining. You have to make them feel something in their heart. You don't have to end on a high note, but you do have to end on real emotional catharsis. This movie does that. And that's why it's placing so high on everybody's year-end lists. I truly feel that I could recommend this to anyone and not have them permanently shun me as a friend and a critic. 5 out of 5, no notes. Good job. Yeah, remember that thing I just said about recommending it to literally everybody? I'm recommending it to you now, and that is going to be a 4.6 for Marty Supreme. And random aside, but I think this might be the first movie that I've seen in the post-Me Too era to get away with a Holocaust joke. For real, one of the biggest laughs I have heard in a movie theater this past year came from this movie, and it was a fucking Holocaust joke. So, Josh Safety, I hope you have made your peace with the fact that the edgelords are going to imitate you now, and it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be cringe. Alright, so those are my thoughts on Marty Supreme. Feel free to subscribe and let me know what you thought of the movie. I'm gonna try something new here. Something perhaps a little bit risky. I am trying to see more movies this year. I can't guarantee that I'm going to make videos on all of them, but at the very least, I am trying to see something every Thursday in downtown Burbank, California. I don't have details yet, but I am going to try and put details in the outros of these videos, so that if you're in the area and you're interested in seeing something, come hang, come see a movie. Let's talk about it, live and in person. I don't know, feels better than speaking to a camera alone in my room and hoping the algorithm picks it up. So be on the lookout. If you live in LA and you enjoy these videos, hopefully I'll see you soon. Peace out, y'all.